Former FBI Director James Comey has officially been indicted by the Department of Justice, so-called, at the direction of Donald Trump. The DOJ has long had a tradition of resisting political pressure from the White House, but no longer. This is the latest in a long line of norms and traditions that have been obliterated under the Trump regime. Here's CBS News with more.
And the former FBI director will be arraigned on federal charges next month. James Comey was indicted on a count of making false statements and another count of obstruction of justice in connection with testimony he gave to Senate lawmakers back in 2020. Before the indictment was announced, President Trump said this about Comey in the Oval Office yesterday.
Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. But I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
We heard the president there say that Comey is bad, he's sick, but why specifically is the Justice Department charging Comey with obstruction and other offenses?
Oh, this case is a unicorn, Errol. It bears no resemblance to something we've seen before. You know, the president declaratively urging a prosecution of a political opponent, appointing a U.S. attorney who was once a White House aide to go ahead and file that case. And James Comey, the former top cop in America, now a criminal defendant. The allegations here are that Comey made a false statement while testifying in Congress nearly 5 years ago, and that there was an obstruction in the process.
We need to clarify something right off the bat. James Comey is not and never has been Donald Trump's political opponent. He was the FBI director under the Obama and then briefly the Trump administration. He was simply doing his job. That's it. He did not oppose Donald. He was following the evidence where it led him. Now, the direct targeting of a career government attorney and law enforcement official simply because Donald has identified him as a personal enemy means that we are indeed in completely new territory, and it's uncharted territory. This is a major escalation in Donald's longstanding campaign of political retribution. Here's what Comey had to say in response to news of the indictment.
We're just getting reaction from former FBI Director Comey on the indictment. Let's take a listen.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
We've just learned his arraignment will be October 9th at 10 a.m. Comey has been issued a summons to appear.
Our hearts should be broken over the fact that in 9 short months, one person, with a lot of help, of course, has been able to bring the Department of Justice to his knees. But as Comey says there, we should never allow somebody as weak, pathetic, anti-American, and corrupt as Donald Trump to bring us to our knees. Speaking of being on her knees, it should surprise nobody that Pam Bondi was willing to sell what little was left of her soul in an effort to stay on Donald's good side. She's always proven herself to be a self-serving suppliant. It's a shock to the system to see what's going on at the DOJ nonetheless. Months ago, in the wake of a decision to end, quote, a lawsuit it had brought months earlier alleging a brazen pattern of racial discrimination against a Black woman, unquote, Chris Geidner at Law Dork writes, the DOJ will not be working to protect civil rights as we know them. But before we go on, the rule of law in America is under threat in a way it never has been before. So please, like and share this video, and if you believe in our mission, subscribe to our channel. Now, with the latest development, we can safely say that Donald's DOJ, under the control of Pam Bondi, is no longer in the business of upholding the rule of law. Instead, this once storied institution is now a rogue agency with an army of incompetent, partisan, and opportunistic true believers who will use the considerable power of the DOJ to represent the interests and whims of one person and one person only, Donald Trump. I want to look at the timeline of Comey's actions both before and after the 2016 election. In July 2016, Comey, then FBI director, announced in a public statement that he was recommending the DOJ bring no criminal charges against Hillary Clinton over her handling of classified information while Secretary of State. But Comey could not leave it at that. He went on to describe the conduct of Clinton and her colleagues as, quote unquote, extremely careless. This gave Donald the opportunity during the general election campaign to claim that Comey's failure to bring charges proved that the system was rigged. On October 28th, 2016, 11 days before the election, Comey notified Congress that the FBI had started looking into newly discovered Clinton emails. On November 6th, 2 days before the election, Comey notified Congress that the FBI had not changed its conclusion. But the unfathomable damage had already been done, thanks in large part to the mainstream media's incessant, over-the-top, anti-Clinton coverage. March 2017, 2 months after Donald took office, Comey announced that the FBI was investigating whether members of Donald's campaign had colluded with Russia to influence the 2016 election. This brought a criminal investigation to the doorstep of Donald's White House. Things rapidly went downhill from there. In April of 2017, Donald repeatedly put pressure on Comey, demanding loyalty and asking him to clear his name publicly in the Russia inquiry. Donald posted on Twitter that Comey was, quote, the best thing that ever happened to Hillary Clinton in that he gave her a free pass for many bad deeds, unquote, which is to say he was reacting to the fact that Comey chose his duty to his office and his oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States over loyalty to Donald. In May of 2017, Donald fired Comey via social media. And then in 2017, Comey testified in front of Congress about the pressure Donald had put on him to prove his loyalty and drop the investigation into his campaign's complicity with the Russians. Take a look.
The American people need to hear your side of the story, just as they need to hear the president's descriptions of events.
This is not a witch hunt. This is not fake news. It is an effort to protect our country from a new threat that, quite honestly, will not go away anytime soon.
I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense. Either he had concluded or someone had told him that you've already asked Comey to stay and you didn't get anything for it, and that the dinner was an effort to build a relationship. In fact, he asked specifically of loyalty. My impression was something big is about to happen. I need to remember every single word that is spoken. First, I was alone with the President of the United States, or the President-elect, soon to be President. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
In September 2020, Senate Republicans called Comey to testify as part of their effort to undermine the Russia investigation, while Donald was campaigning for re-election. Comey defended his inquiry and refused to reverse his findings. In May of this year, less than 5 months into Donald's second term, Comey posted a photo on social media of seashells on a beach, forming the numbers 8647, a phrase that had been used by Donald's critics at protests. Comey deleted the post, saying he was not aware the number 86 was associated with acts of violence. Even so, the Secret Service questioned him about the post. 2 months later, law enforcement officers tailed his car and tracked the location of his cell phone, the kind of surveillance typically used for someone who was an active threat to a person under agency protection. Earlier this month, Donald pressured Eric Siebert, his initial pick for the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, to bring charges against Comey. After Siebert refused, citing a lack of evidence, he resigned, only to be replaced by senior White House aide and one of Donald's former defense attorneys, Lindsay Halligan. Halligan has no relevant experience. She's never prosecuted a case, but she's currently in charge of over 300 career prosecutors at the age of 36. Halligan immediately set about putting together the bogus charges against Comey. And then, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time last evening, a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia handed down 2 indictments against Comey. Donald, emboldened, continues his calls for indictments of some of his other perceived political enemies. Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat of California, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, George Soros, and Reid Hoffman, to name a few. I have no doubt the list is long and comprehensive because, at least when it comes to slights and humiliations he has received at other people's hands, Donald's memory is long. And he holds grudges forever because he is a small, empty, weak man. I revile James Comey's blatant interference in the 2016 election and his targeting of Hillary Clinton and her campaign. But the indictments against him are a travesty and a dangerous attack on a private American citizen, against the independence of the DOJ, and against the rule of law as we once knew it. As of now, the DOJ is dead. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.